Alright guys, what's up? It is the MLB strategy video. We have two slates to talk about today. I'm just going to ramble on for a bit while people start getting in here and getting in chat. Got the three articles done for today. It's the last day before Josh gets back, and then you will have the two-man shows once again. Thank you guys for the ones that have been coming into chat, asking me questions first. Oh, I think you got beat, Makad. Well, it's good. I don't know. I think our analysis was pretty good last night. How'd you guys do? We had, I mean, if you look at the spotlight pitchers and the hitters especially, I don't know about the stacks. I don't remember who the stacks were, but the pitchers and the hitters were really good, actually. Pinder homered, I know. Yelich homered. And then we had Peralta, we had Severino. I think Morton ended up outscoring Severino, so it didn't end up being that great of a play, the Severino play, because Morton was, $3K cheaper or something like that. But we did talk about Morton extensively on the Live Before Lock show. I think we talked about him early yesterday morning. So I'm hoping you guys had some big scores and were able to profit. So, Annabelle, bad play. Yeah. It's Annabelle. I had some Annabelle, so great Peralta call. Yeah, I don't think it was. I think Peralta was the easy play, right? He was the chalk, but I'm glad it worked out for you. Good morning, JM. What's up, Derek Lowe? So we got 11 games to talk about on this main slate, and then we'll circle back to the early games, just 3 of them. I don't know if I'm going to play, but we'll see. Maybe we'll talk through it and find out if, yeah, so Boston, so Freddie Bibbins, Boston, yeah, Boston outfielders, I didn't have enough Jackie Bradley. He had like 30. I was like, of course, out of the 9-hole, lefty. But yeah, if you had Boston outfielders, you probably had a good night. Bibbins Dirks was exactly what you needed out of Bibbins Dirks. I don't know what he actually ended up with, but he was fine for his price. So, hope you guys had good nights. I had a perfectly fine night, and nothing huge. Didn't put it all together in one lineup, but I felt pretty good about all of our calls. 20 for Bibbins Dirks. Wow, I didn't check that. That's pretty good for 4K, 4,600, whatever he was. Let's see. The last time I saw Bibbins Dirks, 19.65. The last time I checked on him, I wasn't checking too many scores. I was a little busy with family and stuff, but I saw he was in a bases loaded jam with 1 out in the top of the 5th, and I was like, oh, here's where he blows up. But I guess he didn't. I guess he survived. The old Bibbins Dirks works out. So we're 1 for 2 on our Bibbins Dirks calls, and I'll take 50%. And hopefully we never have to play him again. All right, you guys want to get into this? Let's get going. If you listen to the night shift, I'm gonna repeat some stuff. Maybe bring some new stuff to the table. You guys can ask questions. Try to get it as the game. Try to get the questions in for the game that I'm on, if you could. If not, I know people roll into chat. We're getting more and more subscribers. We're getting more and more viewers by the minute. So I may have to repeat some stuff. So apologies if you're in here early. There is some weather to be concerned about. Philadelphia, Baltimore, Boston a little bit, Detroit, and the Mets, New York Mets. So it's going to be a tough slate. I will be on the live stream. Once again, you'll have me and Chris. We'll talk about the weather there more. Right now, though, I think that we just go through the games as if they're going to play regularly. Well, how's that sound? Pretty good to me. Who do you suggest? Who do you have as highest upside today besides Boston? Interesting. I don't know. We'll get to it. That's an interesting question. I've got one little hot take probably, maybe a couple. I've got the pitchers and hitters done. Odorizzi. Where are you seeing Odorizzi? You mean Gibson? Twins pitcher? Gibson? Anyways. Let's go Seattle and Baltimore. I think we've got enough people. Yeah, I like Gibson, but I don't think that's my hot take. I think he'll actually be pretty popular. We should get ownership projections as I'm doing this, so you may hear it in my headphones when I get the little Slack pop up. But we'll just keep going. We will talk about ownership when we have that, and if you're premium, you'll get. I'll let you know when the ownership projections are out. All right, Seattle and Baltimore. Got Wade LeBlanc going up against Alex Cobb. 4.8 run total for both teams here. The weather looks bad as far as the rain, but the actual hitting weather, let's say that the rain holds off, or it's just, it's just some spotty showers or whatever. Like 80 degrees, wind blowing out to center, left center, and then 75% humidity those are great hitting conditions. That being said, I think LeBlanc could be okay in this matchup. He just he gets enough chases where he's able to create some ground balls to righties. Only a 113 whip on the season to righties, which is pretty impressive for a left-handed pitcher, especially one with not overpowering stuff by any means. 419 xFIP is fine. I don't think I'm going crazy with LeBlanc, and he's actually a little bit overpriced, I think. But I just wanted to mention, I think he could be okay here and get some strikeouts and go pretty deep. Yeah, I'm worried about Machado. That's the problem. Machado is a spotlight hitter. He's just been the one kind of consistent player that the Orioles have had. This season is completely lost, and I didn't realize how... I did not realize how poor the Orioles were. I think their record when I looked last night was 22-55. I don't really check records that much because I'm not worried about the actual result of the game. I'm worried about individual results within a game. Man, the Orioles are awful. And that's too bad for Machado. I hope he goes to a different team, better organization. Anyways, he's the one guy I like against LeBlanc. And then if you need some savings, I think Mancini is also fine for 3,300. So those two, Machado more than Mancini, but Mancini does offer a little bit of savings. Alex Cobb going for the Orioles, 4,500 on DK. They can't price him low enough for me. So he really, really struggles with lefty power, and the Mariners don't have a ton of it, so maybe people won't be as high on the Mariners stack, but I love it. So you got D. Gordon in there. It's not like he has much power, but Seager, Denard Span is fine with me. And then the righties, assuming Nelson Cruz is in, assuming Mitch Haniger is in, and Segura, I mean, righties can hit Cobb. He's shown that. He's not very discriminatory to either side, and then he doesn't prevent steals well at all. Almost 80% success rate for stolen base or potential stolen bases against him over the last 4 years. So that automatically puts D. Gordon and John Segura on my radar. So I love the Seattle stack. I mean, I just don't have much respect for Cobb. He's not going to miss many bats here, like he doesn't really in any start. All right. And Cobb actually grades out as the second worst pitcher, the second best pitcher to stack against. So he's not the best pitcher to stack against here tonight, based on my model. But yeah, Haniger, Gordon, Segura, Cruz, you got it, Lorenzo. Those are even Denard Span, and I don't play Denard Span that much, but Healy's got power. I mean, it sets up pretty well against Cobb, especially in this weather. Do you stack cash games? I do not. I don't play cash games much, so if I would maybe mini stack in cash if you felt good about a spot. Like the Red Sox yesterday would be a perfect place to mini stack. I would have gone like Mookie and Bogarts or something if you could afford it. They were really expensive, but something like that. Like I would maybe go Seager and D Gordon and just hope D Gordon gets on base a couple times, picks up a stolen base and a couple runs, and you're there for 4,400. So I wouldn't full on stack. I don't think you need to do that in cash. I don't think it's necessary. That's not really what cash is about. I mean, I don't think. Are people stacking in cash? Like full stacking? If so, I wouldn't really know because I don't play much cash. Let's go to the Yankees and the Phillies. We've got a 4.6 run total for the Yankees and a 4-run total for the Phillies. Luis Sessa going for New York and Zach Eflin going for the Phillies. We got wind blowing out here. Some rain concerns here as well. And this game doesn't really matter as far as pitching for me. I can see the case to play Eflin. He actually comes up pretty high on my model, and I kind of get why. He's got a pretty high K percentage. He gets swinging strikes. This Yankees lineup against righties is not super scary. I mean, their best bats are from the right side, and if you've got pitches that are breaking away from these Yankees hitters, you can be successful against them. So Eflin doesn't have like a great slider, so that's kind of the pitch that the Yankees struggle with. His slider isn't great. It's average, maybe a little bit above average, but that's when I like to target against the Yankees, when you've got a guy with a power slider, and he can get these guys to ground into weak or get weak ground balls and strikeouts and whiffs and all that good stuff. What else do we have in this game? Sessa is not stretched out, and as far as the Phillies bats go, I think you can play maybe a couple, mostly Carlos Santana. He's just someone I always look to play against a righty. Sessa is a righty, but he's not going to go very long in this game, so I wouldn't consider using him unless I'm just completely missing something on Sessa. He's only pitched over 2 innings, I think, one time on the year or something like that. I'm going to look him up on Baseball Reference. I looked this up last night. Ray, anyone? Morning, Greek. Morning, Torin. Or is it Torin? Torin. All right, let's look at Sessa. See if I missed a... Morning, Jeffrey. Yeah, so he's only thrown over his last few starts 22 or 26 pitches, 45 pitches, 46 pitches. So even at 5,900, I don't think you can go to Sessa, and that's too bad. It would have been a nice cheap option if he was a little bit more stretched out against the Phillies. So Yankees bats, I think that Gregorius is fine. I think that Greg Bird is fine, or if you want to go with Judge. But, I mean, Bird kind of woke up last night. I think he finally knocked some runners in. But I'm not crazy about the Yankees bats. I respect Eflin, and I won't be targeting against him heavily. What's up, Jarvis? He's just got good stuff. Strikes out both righties, lefties. I mean, he's just pretty good. And this guy was a total gas can last night. Ray's first start in a while, right? Yes. We'll get to Robbie Ray soon enough. All right, let's go to LA and Boston. If you guys are done, ready to move on to the next one. Angels and Red Sox. We have Andrew Heaney going up against Rick Porcello. The Red Sox haven't had too much trouble with lefties lately. They have turned it around yesterday against, what was his name, John Lamb? Yeah, this is going to be a little bit different. Heaney is a much better pitcher, but he does give up a lot of hard hits to righties. And once again, I don't think I'm on the full stack again. I know it worked last night, but I mean, Benintendi, every time I trash him against the lefty, he seems to like hit a 2-run double in the first or the second. Like, it just happens every single time. It seems like he did it last night. I think he hit an RBI double in the third inning. I was like, of course, right off the lefty. After I trash how bad he is against lefties, and he's not that bad, but just compared to how he is against righties, and he's 5K, and I don't think he should ever be 5K against the lefty. Anyways, I just love Betts, JD, and Xander Bogaerts. They're discounted, quote unquote. I think you get $100 off each JD and Mookie, and then Bogaerts down $200 from last night. Yeah, you can definitely full stack the Red Sox. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying, it's a 5-run total, and they're against a lefty, and they've hit lefties well. There's some wind blowing out. But I'm just saying I'm mostly focused on 1, 3, and 5. And maybe you get a couple home runs out of it. Maybe the full stack goes off. You've seen teams just, when they're hot like this and everybody's kind of cooking, they could do the exact same thing they did last night. Heaney is a good pitcher, but I'm definitely worried about him in this spot. Porcello on the other side. I don't want to target a stack against him. He's kind of got even splits. Yeah, I'm covering the early at the end here. We'll just talk about it briefly, or maybe not briefly. Maybe we'll give it a few minutes for each game. Where is that? Oh, Porcello. So I don't want to target a stack against Porcello. 9,200. He's always priced in a spot where, just a 1,000 too cheap or too expensive for me to want to use him. There are a lot of righties, so he can be successful in this matchup, I think. I like Luis Valbuena as sort of a punt option for 3,200 dual position eligibility. Anytime he's against a righty that isn't elite, I'm looking to use Valbuena. And then obviously Mike Trout. I feel like I have to mention him every time, but we can just say Mike Trout's almost always a good play. Are you planning on playing any Heaney? I am not planning on playing any Heaney right now. No. I don't think I can do it against this lineup. Those 3 guys scare me a ton. And if guys are on for them, I can just see 2 and 3 run homers so easily off of Heaney, even though I think he is good, like I've said a handful of times. But Betts and JD and Bogaerts, they're just a little bit better right now. Heaney will be a gas can. He might be tonight. The Red Sox might make him look like one. All right, let's go to Oakland and Detroit. Chris Bassett on the mound for the A's. Mike Fiers for the Tigers. 4.9 run total for the A's. 4.2 for the Tigers. I thought this was going to be Sean Manaea last night when I was doing the night shift. I saw Sean Manaea on this same sheet I'm looking at right now, and it's not going to be Sean Manaea, it looks like, and that's too bad because I wanted to stack up the Tigers against him, and I would have been super, super heavy on the Tigers. But anyways, we've got Chris Bassett on the mound. Bassett grades out pretty poorly for me on the season. 17.8% K rate, a 116 whip is fine, and then only 7% swinging strikes. Not getting, he's getting actually a good amount of chases, but not getting a ton of swinging strikes. Hard hit rate is up at 40%. I think that's a really small sample for Bassett, but I do like Leonis Martin once again. I'm willing to go to Candelario and Nick Castellanos, and then Goodrum just has some power. Just seems like a pretty decent player. I don't mind the Tigers stack, but I am a little bit lower on it now that they're facing a righty. Even though it's not a good one in Bassett, it's still Tigers against lefties have been awesome, and at least awesome in terms of like their top 5 and I believe top 5 in WRC plus. They don't strike out, and then top 10 in on base percentage and ISO. So that's why I was super excited to play some Tigers against a lefty, and especially a lefty with a big name like Manaea. But alas, here we are. Bassett's getting pounded by righties, it looks like. 43.8% hard hit rate, 517 xFIP. And then, I don't know, I mean, I'm probably just going to the top 3 and then maybe Goodrum, maybe Hicks, but I'm not going crazy with the Tiger stack. I think you can get to it. You can get to 4 or 5 guys you like on DK, but more of a secondary stack for me now. And then my boy Leonis Martin, once again, in an awesome spot, leading off. Hope you guys, I don't know, what did he end up with last night? I know he had a single and a run scored. Did he end up getting any more? Leonis Martin, yeah, he had 10. Okay, so he was the lowest scoring of the bunch, but he just seems to get the job done. I like him. I think his numbers look good. He's a much better hitter this year against righties. I don't know what's not to like about Leonis Martin. Still stacking the Tigers. Yeah, you can definitely stack the Tigers. How's Chris's matchup against this pitcher? Oh, Chris Davis? Yeah. So Mike Fiers going for the A's, or the Tigers against the A's. I have Oakland as a spotlight stack. It's great hitting weather here. 76 degrees, wind blowing out a little bit, and fly ball Mike Fiers giving up 44% fly balls and 35% hard contact, 4.79 xFIP. And then that's kind of like the A's. The A's struggle to make contact with pitches sometimes. They struggle with strikeouts. And Fiers is only striking out 17% of hitters, 1.85 home runs per 9. This seems like a spot where they could tee off on him. Matt Olson especially, 4,400 for him. One of my favorite plays on the day. Chris Davis not far behind. Doesn't matter that it's righty-righty. He hits righties just as well as he hits lefties. Jed Lowry for 4,300. Josh loves Matt Joyce, so I'll be playing some Matt Joyce in Josh's honor. And then Dustin Fowler, if he leads off for 3,700, I think the A stack will be pretty popular. I do like it a lot. And then even down to Piscotty and Jonathan Lucroy all make sense for me. So I do like the Oakland A's. I like both sides of this game. I mean, you can game stack this once again. I think the game stack worked out if you did that last night. I think that was the one game I mentioned as my game stack. So I love all these A's. I love a few of the Tigers. But, yeah, Lowry is finally hitting again. That's good to see. I love Jed Lowry. So 4,300, I think that's a perfectly fine price for him. Let's move on here. No pitchers in that game. We will go to Pittsburgh and the New York Mets. Ivan Nova against Zach Wheeler. Good hitting weather here. Again, wind blowing out. The problem is going to be the rain. And this is a day where you probably need a DFS weatherman. I don't want to do all the research, pull up 7 AccuWeather tabs with different ballparks. So if you got a favorite DFS weatherman, go check them out, see what they're saying, and then check for yourself if you're going heavy on a game. All right, we got Ivan Nova against Zach Wheeler. 3.7 run total for the Pirates. The Mets have a 3.9 run total. I like the Mets bats here, specifically Asdrubal Cabrera. If Brandon Nimmo's in the lineup, love him for 4,400. Todd Frazier can hit righties fine, 3,600. And then I mentioned Asdrubal off the top. So those top 4 for the, you can just pull up the weather forecast, or you can see what time the weather is going to get in and affect the game, if at all. So if Nimmo's back, that makes a bit of a difference here. I would want to full stack the Mets. If not, I don't know if I can get to a full stack. I don't love Flores against a righty. Mesoraco is fine, but I'm not playing much Jose Reyes if I can avoid it. Nimmo out. Oh, man. That's too bad. Where are you seeing that he's out? I'm just seeing he's got a questionable tag next to his name. He pinch hit yesterday. Yeah. I mean, if he pinch hit yesterday, then he should be able to play today, right? I mean, that would be logical. Um, who knows? But if Nimmo's back in the lineup, I love this first four for the Mets. If not, I like the first three. But Nova really struggles against lefties, can't strike them out, gives up more hard contact. xFIP is pretty high. Seems like a pretty good spot for the Mets despite their under 4 run total. Wheeler 6,300. I'm assuming he will be somewhat popular because of that price and because of the Pirates' run total. And I get it. He strikes out more lefties than righties, and the Pirates are probably going to throw out a handful of lefties. So, I don't know. I think Wheeler is an incredibly risky play. There are guys like Meadows and Moran, Dickerson, and even Starlin Marte leading off that all scare me against Wheeler. So I'm probably going to have both sides of it. I mean, Wheeler, we've seen him blow up multiple times this year. I remember one start against the Nationals. Was it against the Nationals when he was like chalk? He was like 6K. So we've seen it happen with Wheeler. I think the Pirates could absolutely bomb him. You're right. And that's really good leverage depending on what his ownership projection is supposed to be. I just have to assume he's going to be popular at 6,300 against a team with a 3.7 run total. Just that right away. No pitch count. We've seen him have solid starts before. He's kind of a confusing case for me. But, I mean, Wheeler gives up a handful of quality contact, too. Fly balls, hard hits. It could go either way. So I will have both sides of it. The ownership projections will determine which side I have more of. Let's go to Arizona and Miami. Robbie Ray against Wei Yen Chen. Ray for 10K, making his first start in, let's see what the exact date was. It's been almost a couple months, I believe. His first MLB start, I should say. He had a couple rehab starts. Come on, Fangraphs. Fangraphs being slow today. First start in 8 weeks. 2 months pretty much. That's so I mean I get the Ray play. All right, I'll say that off the top. I'll get the Ray play. I will probably have some Robbie Ray. If he's going to be the chalk option, and I don't think he will be, I think it's going to be Bumgarner. If Ray's going to be the chalk option or one of the highest owned pitchers on the slate, I think that's kind of a mistake. He has crazy strikeout upside. We've seen it. We saw it in his last rehab start in the minors. I think he went 4 1/3, and he struck out 9, I believe. I was looking at just some of his minor league stuff in his rehab starts. And, I mean, if he fits and you don't like Gibson, you don't like Bieber, you don't like some of these guys that are lower priced, and you've got your stack in, you've got your SP1 in or whatever, and Ray just makes it fit, then that's fine. But I don't think you can expect 30-point upside here because he only threw 66 pitches in his last minor league start. So I think it was 46 the game before. You add 20 again. That's 86 pitches. I mean, he's not a guy that's efficient anyways. That might be 5 innings at most. I mean, I don't think he's getting to over 6 innings here. Like, if he got to 6 innings, you'd be thrilled because he can strike out 10 in pretty much any matchup, and he could do that. He could go, I'm pretty certain he's going to have a pitch count, and it might be 85, it might be 90, but I don't think it's much more than that. So he is a tough one for me today. Also, I like some of these Marlins hitters, and it's the top 3, once again, Castro, Brian Anderson, and JT Realmuto. When Ray gets hit, when he's not striking guys out, he gets hit very, very hard. Almost 50% hard contact to righties since the start of 2017 for Ray. And these guys are all good hitters against lefties, Castro, Anderson, and Realmuto. I actually have Anderson as a spotlight hitter. So I'm looking forward to leveraging the field if Robbie Ray is going to be chalk. I will have some Ray. There's no doubt about it. There's just not enough options for me. And if I don't like Porcello, if I don't like, who are the other guys we kind of mentioned around this? I don't love Eflin. I don't love LeBlanc. Like, I think he's probably a better option than Flaherty. Ray is, but it's pretty close for me. So ownership will depend on what I do here. Ownership will determine what I do here, I should say. And I like some of these Marlins against him. Just gives up so many hard hits, and that is attractive to me when you've got good hitters on the other side. At least 3 good hitters. I don't know about the bottom of this lineup. Wei and Chen going for the Marlins. I can't use him here. He's my worst pitcher on my model, and it's because of how bad he is against righties. Just atrocious against righties. Overall, 15.6% K rate, 7.8% swinging strike rate. Doesn't really get a lot of chases. Gives up hard contact, especially to righties. 6.47 xFIP against righties, and near 50% fly balls. This roof could be open depending on if there's rain or not. If it's open, even better hitting weather for both sides. But I'm going to be on Goldschmidt, Nick Ahmed, J.R. Murphy. I love Kettle Marte. I mean, what's not to like about this Arizona lineup? I'm all over them. They're not a spotlight stack, but there are some weather concerns in the spotlight stacks. So if one of those is rained out or whatever looks bad, then you can just add in the Diamondbacks in there, because I love them. I love them against Wei and Chen, all these guys, and mostly the righties, but you can put in Peralta. You can have John Jay off the top, because I don't have much respect for Wei and Chen, especially if it's going to be 85 and a little bit of wind blowing out. Yeah, one of my favorite stacks for sure. Jake, who's your favorite GPP pitcher, ceiling and floor? Oh, God. All right. Thanks, Tom. Ownership is up for both slates. All right, let's check this out. Let's see where we're at. Yep, so Wheeler is very popular. That's sort of expected. And then, Alex Wood. Wow. So JD Martinez, Mookie Betts, these guys are going to be very, very popular, as they should be. I mean, I think they're awesome plays. Wow, one of my guys in the spotlight pitchers is actually quite a bit more owned than I would think. Let's see where Bieber's at. Yeah, Bieber looks like he's going to be low owned. I like that. Sweet. So this is about what I expected for the most part. Cool. Some pitchers that are high priced or highly owned that I'm not that interested in using, so I like that. For tournaments, let's see. Yeah, so Arizona stack, Marlins mini stack if you want with those top 3. I don't think that's the worst play in the world. Ray can get blown up. We've seen it before. Wood and Wheeler's who I was looking at for pitchers. Yeah, those are going to be popular options, but I mean, I don't mind either one of those guys. So I'm not going to tell you don't play Zach Wheeler and Alex Wood. Almost just said Kerry Wood. Definitely play Kerry Wood in like 1999. Guy was straight nasty. All right, let's go to San Diego and Texas. Clayton Richard against Mike Minor. 4.6 run total for the Padres. 5 run total for the Rangers. 101 degrees in Texas. Wind blowing in. Just disregard that because that doesn't really matter in this stadium. And we've got 2 lefties on the mound. Right-handed bats will be popular in this game, and for good reason. So there's 4 guys that I'm very, very interested in on the Rangers side against Clayton Richard. Richard struggles giving up hard contact against righties, and then you've got very good hitters like Elvis Andrus and Adrian Beltre. I love Profar in that 6th spot. I'd like him to move up a little bit. where Odor is hitting, maybe slide Mazzara and Odor back and Profar up. That would be how I would do it. But even if he's batting sixth, I love Profar. I love Robinson Chirinos as well. And then you can put in another lefty. I mean, I want to get as many of these Texas righties in as you can, because Richard against righties is not the same pitcher. He's awesome against lefties, but not so much against righties. And in this weather, if he's elevating the ball at all, he's going to get blasted. Mike Minor going for the Rangers, 6,700. Not interested in Minor. He's similar to Richard in that he gives up a bunch of hard contact to righties, fewer strikeouts, higher xFIP, all that good stuff. And then the Padres are hitting in the same weather as the Rangers are, so of course I'm going to like some of their righties. Let's see how they're going to be owned on a team level. Yeah, so they're going to be pretty popular. We've got Will Myers up there and Margot, Villanueva, Perella. I think they're one of the better stacks on the night. There's no doubt about it against Mike Minor. They won't be sneaky, so I didn't think they would be. They're much better against lefties, much closer to average against lefties according to their WRC plus than they are against righties. And there are, if you just look at the individual players, Renfroe, Villanueva, Margot, Will Myers, these guys all have a ton of power. So Padres are a phenomenal stack. Padres came in huge last night. Came through huge. Oh, okay. Did they? I stopped paying attention after a while, but I just saw my winnings, and that was enough for me. I was playing Uncle yesterday, so let's see. What did they have? Oh, well, it was a joke. Oh, okay. All right. So they didn't come through huge then, I would assume. But, yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't watch much baseball last night. All right. So we're done on this game. You guys got any more questions? I'll wait a few seconds. I don't know. I like both sides of this game. I mean, how can you not? 101 degrees. Like, if I was hitting in this game, I'd probably consider myself. And I can barely hit a softball. So, Matt Carpenter, 5 for 5, doubled on yesterday. Oh, I did see that this morning. I saw, I don't know what tournament it was, but someone tweeted a screenshot of the winning lineup in some tournament. He had like 214 points, and it was all one-offs. It was you get like Carpenter against Kluber, and it was just a pretty trash lineup. Like, but it ended up winning. That happens sometimes, and good for that guy. But not a lineup I would have ever made. So, whatever. He won it. Let's move on. Minnesota and the White Sox. We have Kyle Gibson going up against James Shields. Gibson 8,500. James Shields 5,500. Twins 4.9 run total. White Sox 4.2 run total. Yeah, so I'm getting to that, Randy. Actually, so that's a tough question, Randy, actually, because I like Gibson, so I'll talk about him right now. I like Bieber a ton. Those would probably be my two highest upside pitchers, actually. So that'd probably answer your question. Bieber and Gibson, or Gibson. All right, Gibson, 8,500, going up against the White Sox. So Gibson is one of my favorite pitchers on the night. He's had 3 straight starts with low swinging strike rates, so I was concerned right off the bat. I was like, oh no, I'm not going to be able to use Gibson, but it was 6.8%, 6.8%, and 8.6%. But those were in tough matchups against the Angels, Indians, and Red Sox. And then he survived all those starts. He went 7 innings, and 6 innings in them. Gave up a couple earned runs in each, but that's fine. I mean, I think Gibson is better than what most people think he is. And then he's got one of the best pitches in the entire MLB as far as whiffs per swing. His slider is getting the most whiffs per swing of any pitcher in the MLB that's thrown at least 100 pitches, which is kind of incredible. And then you've got a White Sox lineup that they've got Avisail Garcia back in there, just another righty bat that Gibson can use that slider on. They strike out 25% against righties on the season. That's top 5 in the MLB. And I just think that Gibson has a bunch of upside. He's been going deep. And, yeah, he's going to be popular, but I don't think he's going to be popular enough because I'm not in love with a ton of the pitching options up top, or really even any of them. Bumgarner, Ray, Flaherty. So I'll be dropping down to Gibson. I'll be dropping down to Bieber. We'll talk about him next. But I love Gibson, and you guys probably think I'm crazy. I've recommended Gibson like 9 times this year. Gibson's really good on the road. Yeah, I mean, I think I'd be really good on the road against the White Sox. They just strike out so much. Even Moncada, he's going to strike out a ton. But that, man, I say it every single time, but that bottom of the White Sox lineup is atrocious. Gibson has been better this year. Even at the start of, or the end of last year, Gibson was looking pretty incredible. And that slider, he should throw that slider more if he can, if his arm can hold up. I don't know why he doesn't use it a little bit more, why the Twins don't want him to use it a little bit more. But that's neither here nor there. He is getting just a ton of whiffs on that slider. All right. The one bat I think you can use is Moncada. If he gets a hold of one against Gibson, it could go a long way. But other than that, I'm going down with the Gibson train tonight. We will see what happens. Twins bats against James Shields because I'm not looking. Yeah, the Minnesota Jakes. Twins bats against James Shields. I am not that interested in them as a full stack. I've been kind of off the stack against James Shields bandwagon. I haven't been doing it much this year, and it's worked out. He can miss bats at times. We've seen it. He can be incredibly frustrating. He's fine against lefties, but I do think that Rosario and Escobar are both awesome plays. And then Adrienza, I don't know how to pronounce his first name. I forget how to pronounce it, so I'm not going to attempt it. But 3,100, hit another home run last night. He's got power. He looks like he's going to be a good player, and he keeps creeping up that lineup. Was in the 9th spot a couple weeks ago, now in the 7th spot. If he could creep up into like the 6th spot, man, I would like Adrienza a ton, but I'll still play him as a punt for 3,100 against Shields. All right, let's move on here. Yeah, 2 ERA. Lomo at 3,300. I'm probably not taking that bait. That is cheap against James Shields, and even though he hasn't been great, the power is probably still there for Morrison, and you can get the ball out in that park in Chicago. So I don't hate the Morrison play. I just think it's going to be pretty chalky, and I can double check that right now. Oh, Twins. Yeah, so we've got Morrison as the chalkiest hitter, and then Dozier. That's not how I would have it. I think I would have it Rosario, Escobar, then Adrienza. So maybe my twin stacks or mini stacks will look a little bit different than most of the other people's twin stacks, which I like. I like it. All right, let's go to a couple more games on this main slate. Indians and Cardinals. Shane Bieber for 8,400 against Jack Flaherty, 9,400. Indians have a 4-run total. Cardinals with a 4.1 run total. So this one is near a pick'em. Bieber a little bit of an underdog. This one has some weather in it too, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, no, it doesn't. Disregard what I just said. This one is clean. It did last night, and they ended up getting it in. So. But Kluber was atrocious, I hear. Saw some angry people on Twitter about Kluber. They took the low-owned Corey Kluber. The game played, and then your stud sucks. So that's always the worst. But Bieber had a super impressive start his last time out against the Tigers. Went 7 innings, struck out 9. And then I looked at the plate discipline stuff, and it was pretty eye-popping. 18.6% swinging strike rate. Almost 35% chase rate, and he did this by throwing only 40% first pitch strikes, which is kind of crazy. He was getting behind pitchers, 1-0, whatever it was, 2-1. He was getting behind hitters and still was getting a ton of swings and misses. And, the results were there. Like, now you got a St. Louis team that's got a bunch of righties in the lineup with Bader and Munoz and Colton Wong at the bottom. Like, I think Bieber can have another big strikeout game. I don't know how deep he's going to be able to go in this game. If you want to play a hitter against him, I think it would be Carpenter for me. But I love Bieber tonight. We've got him as being pretty low owned. The curveball was awful for Kluber last night. Yeah. That'll happen sometimes. Bieber, 8,400. I'm in on him. I'll have a lot of Bieber Gibson. I'll have some Bieber with who knows who else. I mean, there's not a ton of options I feel that great about besides Bieber and Gibson. So these are going to be my two guys that I'm going to go to the most often. And then I mentioned Carpenter against Bieber. I think he's the one guy that matches up pretty well against him. Flaherty has been impressive as well. 9,400 for him against Cleveland. He's at home. He's very, very good against righties. 35% K rate, 2.77 xFIP. No line drives. The whip is below 0.9. So Flaherty looks pretty good to me as well. The problem is the price, and that a lot of these good Cleveland bats are from the left side, so I'm a little scared about Flaherty. I'd even play Lindor, Brantley, and Ramirez against him, but not a big game for hitters for me. You mentioned Carpenter too yesterday. Yeah. I mean, I just think when you're facing any righty, I think Carpenter's fine as leverage, especially when he's hitting like how he is right now. And it worked out. Sometimes it doesn't work out, the leverage play. But sometimes it does. Like yesterday, Matt Carpenter with like 40 DK points. Yeah, so minor interest in Cleveland bats, but respect for both pitchers. It's 90 degrees, so that's a bit worrisome, but I kind of like both of these pitchers. Cubs and Dodgers, Kyle Hendricks against Alex Wood. Hendricks we have as being pretty popular. Wood we have as being very popular. I'm kind of off both Hendricks and the Dodgers stack. I mean, I think you can make a case for Justin Turner. And then I like this kid, Max Muncy. So you can target some bats against Kyle Hendricks, but I don't know that they're going to be a main stack for me. The Dodgers, I may have some like two-man stacks, mini stacks against Hendricks. He just doesn't get blown up that often. And it's a big park. 4.1 run total for the Dodgers is nothing crazy. Alex Wood on the other side. So what I have is I'm sure a lot of people will play him for 8,200 at home. And that is looking like it's going to be true. 8,200, he's at home. The Cubs could have a handful of righties in this lineup. Right now, it looks like six righties, yeah. Six righties against Alex Wood. So I didn't have much interest in him until I was looking at some splits on FanGraphs. Once he's 27, jeez. Where was he before this? Or is he just in the minors? He's hitting incredible this year. I guess he's not a kid then. He's older than me. I will say the Cubs are. Oh, that's right. You're right. Yeah, Oakland. The Cubs on the road against the lefty this year have a 70 WRC plus, 25% K rate, and .096 ISO. That is pretty atrocious. That's a pretty small, or like a niche split on the road against the lefty, but it's still a little bit significant to me. Enough for me to at least consider Wood, especially with no Chris Bryant in the lineup. Yeah, I mean, I think Wood is fine, but he's going to be overowned like he usually is, in my opinion. But this would be the spot to use him in, and I may have some Wood. but I like that I can pivot to Gibson and Bieber in that exact same price range. Colorado and San Francisco, last game of the night. Kyle Freeland and Madison Bumgarner. I always am looking to use Freeland, but $8,300 is probably enough for me to back off of him on DraftKings. I'm worried about the upside. San Francisco doesn't strike out a ton against lefties. They've got McCutchen and Posey that I actually like against Freeland. I don't really ever stack against Freeland, even when he's in Coors. But I think you can play McCutchen, and then Posey is fine, but a little bit overpriced. Bumgarner is coming off a great outing. Eight innings, 8 Ks, no runs. This was against the Padres. This was at home, so about as good of a matchup as you can get for Bumgarner. The swinging strikes weren't up. I'm a little concerned about that. Bumgarner's not really missing bats. And the problem is, I wrote him up in the Spotlight Pitchers. The problem with not playing him is, who else are you going to play at this price range? You've got Ray with a probably a pitch count, and then there isn't really someone that's priced over 10K after Ray. So, man, that's what I was going to check. Bumgarner's ownership. Let's see. We've got him as the third highest owned pitcher tonight, behind Wood and Wheeler, at over 30%. That's, man, I don't like that. BVP versus Bum. Yeah. BVP doesn't matter that much to me. But you do have good hitters. You have Arenado and Story and LeMahieu and Desmond. It's a scary matchup for Bumgarner. The thing he has going for him is he's coming off a very good start, and it's a big park, and you get Colorado outside of Coors. So I can definitely make the case for Bumgarner. But I don't think that he has the highest upside on the slate, and you have to pay a premium for him, which is the problem. I don't know. I mean, I probably prefer him over Ray at this point, but if everybody's going to be on Bumgarner, I think it's a fade that I will be comfortable with. All right, that's going to do it for the main slate. Let's go to the early. Let's talk early. What do you guys want to talk about on this early slate? Who's playing it, and which pitchers or which hitters do you want me to talk about? Maybe I can just go through it. Yeah, I hate Bumgarner's price too. Yeah, it's a small sample. I mean, he's at home. Pitcher not Shaw. What do you mean? Do I like Colorado Gonzalez one-off? I don't like lefties against Bumgarner. Randy. He might have some good BVP, but for his career, Gonzalez doesn't hit as well outside of Coors. And then, Bumgarner does not give up a lot of hard contact, strikes out a bunch of lefties. He is still a good pitcher, I think. I don't think he's washed up or anything. Didn't mean to sound like that. But, yeah, I mean, I don't like that Gonzalez one-off. I don't even know if he'll be in the lineup, honestly. Right now, I don't even see him in the projected lineup. So I would rather use like a Desmond or Story or Arenado if you can pay up for those guys, but definitely Desmond over Carlos Gonzalez. On a 3-game slate, you should probably make a leverage play, ? Yeah. I think you definitely can make a leverage play. Let's look at this ownership. We'll see how we can try to leverage this field on the early. MLB DraftKings early. Here we go. Whoa. All right. So, let's look at pitcher ownership. Starting pitchers. All right. Oh yeah, someone mentioned how low Estrada's ownership was on this early. It's raining in Atlanta at noon. Damn it, rain at night, rain in the morning, rain in the afternoon. I hate Atlanta weather. Yeah, it looks like this one could have some issues. It's pop-up storms from what I'm reading from another site, and that could be very risky to play pitchers in this game. And on a 3-game slate, like, it makes sense to take a stab at these guys as low-owned pitchers just because you have to get different on a 3-game slate. I like that Luis Castillo is only the 4th highest owned pitcher that we have currently, because I think you can play him against pretty much any team. Atlanta has not been hitting that great since the first month and a half or so of the season. But I think you should, if I'm making 10 lineups, I think I'd probably make a few with Castillo and then a few with Atlanta stacks, just because that's what kind of pitcher he is. If he doesn't have it, if he can't get a grip on his pitches because of the rain, if it's lightly raining or whatever, he could get absolutely demolished here by Freddie Freeman and Markakis and Kurt Suzuki. Albies up top. Like, I think that's a pretty good strategy. That's probably how I will approach this if I end up playing it. Local forecaster said probably clear for game. Okay. So some conflicting reports from our chat. I think Atlanta stack is perfectly fine. I also think Castillo is perfectly fine. Super high upside for 5,500. This is a game where he could get you 20 plus points, even though it's not even a good matchup. Castillo gets shelled and weather concerns. Yeah, like I said, he could easily go out and strike out 8 in 6 innings, or he could get rocked and go 2 1/3 and give up 7 earned type of thing. J stack. All right, so Newcomb on the other side. I don't think it's a great matchup for Newcomb. The Reds don't strike out that much, but it's a 3-game slate. He's the highest priced pitcher. He's not even going to be owned that much. Keuchel is going to be the chalk, apparently. Man, that is... I think I'd rather play Newcomb over Keuchel, I'll say that. But I do like my boy Eugenio Suarez against Newcomb, batting 4th. Just anytime he's against the lefty, just licking my chops to try to get some Eugenio Suarez. And then Adam Duvall for 3,500 is another guy I would target against Newcomb with. Interesting. Roth calling a no-go on starting pitchers in Atlanta due to unpredictable pop-ups. It is a 3-game slate, though. That is, I mean, if everybody's going to be off of a guy like Newcomb, who is a good pitcher, then there's a case to be made to play him and just hope the game plays clear for at least 5 or 6 innings and you're able to get some decent production out of him, because I don't feel that confident in Keuchel in this spot. Not 50% like what we have him confident. That is for sure. Let's just talk about the Royals. Brewers. We have both the Brewers bats being chalky and Duffy being chalky on the other side, so maybe people are going one or the other. We've got Duffy at 41%, and then I saw Ryan Braun is the highest owned player on this slate for us, which, I mean, I'm much more on the play Brewers bats than play Danny Duffy, and if Duffy's going to be chalky, I will gladly play a bunch of Brewers stacks. You can go Brewers with Braves, as we said. You can go Brewers with Castillo. I think that I would have a ton of Brewers stacks if I'm playing this. Let's look at Duffy against righties, because it's not very pretty. And he's going to be facing mostly... Oh, Keon Broxton's back, too. That's nice. Oh, yeah. This Brewers lineup is very tasty against Danny Duffy. So striking out 19.2% of righties, 1.59 whip, 5.5 xFIP, almost 40% hard contact, a bunch of pulled balls, a bunch of fly balls. That doesn't sound like a great pitcher to be going up against 7 righties. So good luck to Danny Duffy. I hope he's chalk, because I want to play a bunch of Brewers against him. Broxton is back because Kane went on DL. Yeah, Broxton can hit lefties. I know that about him. So I'm excited to play some Keon Broxton. I'm excited to play a bunch of Brewers stacks, and they don't have 4 first basemen in the lineup tonight, which they did yesterday. I don't think I've ever seen that. They had 4 guys that were first base eligible, but I mean, Thames and Braun were both outfield eligible as well, but still kind of ridiculous. Yeah, Broxton is fast too. Duffy is a lefty though. I mean, it's just generally harder to steal off lefties. Let's see if you can steal off Duffy. Yeah, it's pretty tough to steal on Duffy. I mean, all these lefties are like 60% and below, most of them, which is not that great. I'm loving Duffy now. Yeah, I think Suter is actually pretty interesting. Like, he's a guy I was talking about as being very annoying to stack against, and someone who is good at going 5 innings, going 6 innings, getting a couple strikeouts. And dude, once again, so I will read off these game logs, and this isn't like a great way to pick your pitchers, but Suter is always like in the 6K range, 5K range sometimes. And over his last, 7 games, just DK points, 23, 21, 18, 16, 16, 18, 23. And he's getting the win in almost all of those. But even if you take away 4 points, you would take that every time. You would take 15, 16 points out of Suter at this price on this slate, especially with the weather concerns in the other game, the volatility of Luis Castillo, and just the not wanting to play Marco Estrada in this spot. So Suter, I like him a lot. I mean, I would, if you're leveraging the field against Suter, I would go with Whit Merrifield and Salvador Perez, maybe even Adalberto Mondesi batting 8th. Got some power, dual position eligibility, and 3,600. I don't think anybody's going to play him. Suter paired with Estrada. You could. I mean, so Estrada, what you're doing with Estrada is it's basically a game theory play. I don't think anybody thinks that Estrada is a good GPP play, but it is a 3-game slate. If he can get you anything, if he can just limit the Houston bats, that's going to be huge leverage on the field if you use him, because then all the people with the Houston bats will not be able to accrue points. And we've got some massive ownership on the Houston bats. Wow. So the top 5, actually the top 4, we've got Uriel actually being pretty unowned, which is weird. I don't know why that would be. Maybe just positional scarcity at other spots could be the case. Yeah, Houston bats super, super highly owned, but I get it. Estrada, not a guy that we should be scared to target against. 57% fly balls against righties this year for Estrada, striking out under 20%. 33.3% hard hit rate for Estrada. And he's had starts where he's missed a ton of bats. Does anybody know, is this game the roof going to be closed? Anybody know that? Anybody seen that anywhere? Because it's 92 degrees in Houston. That does make a little bit of a difference for me. Let's see. Anybody know? Wow. Estrada is running to a nice little stretch here, actually. Just looking at swinging strikes, getting some chases against good teams, too. So over his last 4, he's faced the Yankees, Orioles, Nationals, and Angels in those starts. 13.4% swinging strike rate, 16.5, 8.3 against the Nationals. Okay, that's a lot of lefties, whatever. And then 12.0 against the Angels. Roof closed. 15%. Yeah, the K rate for Houston is really tough. So I don't think he's going to be able to miss a lot of bats like we saw in that Yankee start or that Baltimore start. Definitely not the same as we're looking at here, but it is a lot of righties. Estrada can miss some bats, and I think he could theoretically be okay. I don't think he's just some total gas can where you just automatically stack against him. And if that's what everyone's going to do, then maybe make a couple Estrada lineups. If you're making 10 lineups, I might have 2 or 3 with Estrada and load up on the other games. I don't think that's a terrible strategy. I don't think he's an awful play. If this were like a 6-game slate or 10-game slate or whatever, there's no way I'm playing Estrada. But at that ownership, you get the leverage on the chalk Houston bats. It makes sense to get some exposure there. Keuchel, 9,300. I hate whenever Keuchel is chalk. I mean, he's a fine real-life pitcher for DFS. I don't think he's anything special, only striking out 17.6% of righties. He always has done a good job at getting... soft contact, ground balls, all that good stuff, but not the highest upside pitcher. And if he's going to be mega chalk, which we have him at, I think taking some of these Baltimore bats in some lineups, Steve Pearce off the top, Justin Smoke, I don't know. I mean, Grichuk's been raking 3,600. I doubt people will play him against Keuchel, batting 7th. They just refuse to move him up in the lineup. The Cardinals used to do that with him as well, back and like send him down to AAA all the time, and I don't know why. Like all he does is hit home runs, it seems like, and he always does it from like the 8th spot on every team. Is Teoscar? I don't see him in the projected lineup. What's wrong with Teoscar? I don't see why he wouldn't be in this lineup, but maybe he will be. Anybody know anything on Teoscar, why he's not in the projected lineup? Or anybody have any more questions? Otherwise, we can get out of this, and I will see you guys on the live stream. Morton smoked Toronto last night, but... Thoughts on the Twins bats? Yeah, I like some of them. I like Rosario, Escobar, and Adrianza, but I'm not crazy about them as a stack, especially with them being chalk. Morrison and Dozier, I don't love them as chalk. Top 2 pitchers, early slate, and done of what? And one of batter. Okay. Top 2 pitchers. I think I would go Suter and either Newcomb or Castillo. So that game is risky. You got to know what you're getting yourself into. But I think I like Suter. I like both Newcomb and Castillo. I like Castillo's upside at that price, and you're going to be different with the bats. And then my favorite bats are the Brewers. So Estrada lineups run one Houston righty for even further differentiation, or overkill to do that. I mean, you could run. It's a 3-game slate. You could run one hitter against your pitcher. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't try to do that, but if your lineup construction warrants it, then I don't think it's the worst idea. Dave Teoscar's World Series ring yesterday. If you do one early line, oh yeah, okay, I kind of said that. So I think Suter and Castillo, I think I would go with. There's a lot of good bats to pay up for. I would try to get in Suarez. I would try to get in Braun and Aguilar and like a full Brewer stack. I would play Yelich against Danny Duffy. I should say that as well. Yelich can hit lefties very well. All right, anybody got anything else? Looks like some people are dropping out, so we will talk to you on the live stream. I will be on it with Chris one more time, and then Josh and I will be back tomorrow morning. Well, obvious, I'll be back, but I've been here the whole time, and then Josh will be back where you'll see his beautiful spreadsheets. But come hang out. We will have the spotlight hitters, pitchers, and stacks out. If you're a premium subscriber, you can see the ownership projections right now for both slates, and then the MLB rankings will be updated as the day goes on as well. Good luck on both of these slates. See you at 6 Eastern.